sorry, but
Okay, everybody, welcome to an impromptu podcast. I'm not sure if we're uploading this yet. I just got to get Heading Stack's permission if we do so, but let's give it a go.
Hi, Ralph.
Hey, mate, how's it going?
Good, yeah, good. What topic do you want to do?
Okay, so my name is Ralphie. This is Hitting Stacks Tommy. We're doing a private video. We don't have to upload this, man. We can just keep it cash.
Yeah,
What?
you can upload like after Mike and me does the 5 reasons. Like if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's totally up to you, man. Like I can always I can save the video, put it on private link, and then we can either set it as a premiere for like 1-2 months down the line, or just whenever,
Yeah.
or we could just keep it private. I really don't mind. I just like
Yeah.
I like talking to people from Mike's show because I don't know, we
Yeah.
seem to be quite intelligent lot.
Yeah. I talked to Craig the other
Did you?
time, and then he introduced me to you.
Yeah.
Like, he introduced his channel to me. Yeah, through Craig.
Yeah,
You know
Craig.
right?
Yeah,
Craig,
I meet up with him. I'm mentoring him as an artist. He's one of my artists, so
yeah.
yeah, I'm mentoring him for like music, and we meet up like
Mhm.
once a month. And
Yeah.
I met him through Mike as well, which is like,
Oh,
yeah, it's so cool because it's like
yeah.
I find there's just so much going on at the moment that for me, for my
Yeah.
mental health, it's just nice to like
Get it out there.
get
Yeah.
it out there. And I
Mm.
also go to this like open mic once a month, and there's like 40 people in a small room, and some of them are pretty onto it as well. You'd be surprised how many people are like, onto it, but either are too afraid to talk or just keep it down on the down low.
Especially at work, everyone's afraid to talk. They don't want to like touch the topic. Because I
Yeah,
remember Mike he did a video called Morning Coffee with Mike, and then he did this one on Exodus. It was back in October
yeah,
2020, like 3 months ago. And then he said like one guy in America got like a suspension, like a 4-week suspension without pay, because
yeah.
the person was arguing climate change. And yeah, because of that. I'll
Well,
show you the video.
yeah, definitely. I'm
Yeah.
keen. Yeah, I mean, there's repercussions to everything. So, I do that as well with a lot of my friends, unless it's like they ask for my opinion specifically.
Yeah.
Like, I just like keep my mouth shut because it's like it's the
Yeah.
fastest way to divide a room. It's like,
Yeah, I try to wake my friends up. Like some of them are like finally starting to realize. Well,
yeah,
but it's like better late than never. You know what I mean? It's late, they're late to the game, but
yeah.
it's late than never. Like never's like you're always like not awake. It's well,
For me personally, I think for anyone to go through that, they almost need to go through something quite dramatic in their own lives to
dramatic.
kind of
Mm.
do that, because I don't know, like for you, your personal story, like how did you enter the rabbit hole? Like, is there something that happened in your life, for
Well,
instance?
well, I actually entered it like in late 2010, around 2010.
Yeah,
It's about 9/11, and I
yeah,
watched a speech by President Ahmadinejad of Iran.
okay,
It was back in 2010. Like he was at the United Nations, and then he called like 9/11 like a inside job, and then
yeah,
the representatives of Britain, Israel, and the United States, they walked out, and then that's when I started getting skeptical. I
mm,
started doing some research about this kind of stuff 2011, 2012,
yeah,
and then 2013 a bit, and then read about history, and then 2014, 15, I sort of dropped it a bit, and then 2015, like June, July, I sort of got back. And then 2017, 18, I got really heavy into like this kind of stuff, like really, really heavy.
yeah,
2016, a little bit, not much, but 17, 18, I got like really deep.
yeah.
And then I saw Mike's video on Sydney is a shithole, and that's how I found his channel. Like I'll show you the video. That's how I found his, because I
Yeah.
just realized like Sydney is just becoming like really
Mm.
bad. It's just becoming antisocial. People are always broke. People are getting out left, right, center. People are just exiting the city of Sydney.
Really?
Um, yeah, and then people are like backstabbing each other. People become fake. It's just
Mm.
like I just realized there's something wrong with the city. And then when I search up Sydney as a shithole and stuff, I'm not alone. There's a lot of people that think like that as well. Like the dying nightlife, the
Yeah.
businesses struggling.
Yeah.
And then like when I saw Mike's channel, he like I started like realizing it, and then I watched some of his video on Vancouver and Toronto, and then it's the same thing. It's the same pattern happening with Sydney. So Vancouver is like Sydney, and then
Mm.
Toronto is basically like Melbourne, pretty much. If you
Um,
want to do the comparison, because the thing is all this stuff happened like to Vancouver first, and then Toronto, and then everything bad happened to Sydney, and then Melbourne. That's what like happened, especially with the housing crisis.
yeah. Yeah, the last time I went to, I'm not sure. The last time I went to Sydney, because my mum lives in Sydney.
Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah.
She lives in Marylands. I don't know.
Oh, West, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I thought Sydney. I come from Auckland, and so Auckland's a
Yeah.
city as well. But it was
Yeah.
like when my first impressions of Sydney was like Auckland on steroids, because like it like Auckland, like in Auckland we've got one main I guess nightlife strip. You know what I mean? It's like Queen Street, and then you've
Yeah.
got like four. Like it's just like it's like oh maybe four, maybe two, but like there's like two, three, four of like what we have. So
Like
but
four hubs or like
like
four
yeah,
like
I guess
main.
hubs, like like I call it Queen Street. I call it like the Queen
Oh,
Street.
like main centers,
Yeah,
like
like main centers, because
main centers. Yeah.
you have I guess the viaduct
One in Parramatta.
one.
Yeah, we have one in Parramatta. That's
Yeah,
like just
yeah,
north of Maryland's, and we have
yeah,
one in like Hurstville,
yeah.
one
I've
in
been to
Melbourne. Oh,
Parramatta.
Sydney
Yeah,
has quite a few, like six, seven hubs.
yeah,
It used to be like three or four, but then they expanded it and they called it like the Greater Sydney.
yeah,
So it's pretty much anywhere that's like within 100K range. So
yeah.
include like Gosford and Penrith and Campbelltown.
So did you always
Or
live in Sydney, or did you kind of
I've
like
been in
move?
Sydney for like 15 years almost. Like I started living like 2005.
Yeah. And did you like it to start with, and then did you notice there was like a change just
Sydney
recently?
2005. It was really cheap. Everything was really cheap, and
Yeah.
then like after 2008, 2009, it just became like a bit bad, and then
That was the
2012.
global financial crash.
Yeah, that was a crash, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like 2010, 2011, like it just became a bit antisocial.
Yeah.
But not everyone was snob. Like not everyone was like that. And then especially 2012, 2013, everything just became worse. I just started realizing like the fakeness. It just became worse and worse. And ever since then, it's Sydney's just gone downhill. And there's even an article saying Sydney's infrastructure won't cope very well, and this was back in 2005, March or something. Was like even before I came to Sydney.
Yeah.
They were saying like the infrastructure won't keep up because the sewers, the roads and stuff, they're like
Oh,
50 to 100 years old. It's not capacitated for like 5-6 million people. It's not gonna hold. It's gonna hold probably like 2 million, 2.5 max. It's not gonna hold.
yeah, yeah. So is it just like the culture of people, like social life, but is it also like the work culture, or
Yeah,
when you
it's
talk
like that
about
as
the
well.
culture, who?
It's not really good. Like a lot of politics at work, like work
Yeah.
politics. Not so much like politics like prime minister and like
Oh,
discussing
yeah.
political things. It's more like work politics, like management versus
Oh,
employee,
I,
that kind of
I,
thing.
I mean, there's elements of that in New Zealand as well. That's why I like whenever
Yeah.
I look for a job, I'm like, I think to myself, I'm shopping for a manager, because
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
basically shocking because you don't want to end up in a bad place. Like I've
yeah,
realized this guy called Emotion by
emotion.
Marat.
Okay.
So like it's like emotion, but with like double M. So like EMMO and then TION by Marat, Marat. And then he talks about like he's actually like a human resource kind of person, and then he
Yeah,
he sees good employees, bad employees, good managers, bad managers, and then he
yeah,
tells you all the signs of a good like workplace, bad workplace, things like that. And then I've
Yeah.
like learned a lot from him, like from like what he said. But yeah,
There's
Sydney wasn't like always bad. Like when I talked to like the people who's like neighbors and stuff who's like 40 years old now or
yeah.
like almost 50, they say like when they were like in their 20s back in the 90s or the 80s,
Yeah.
Sydney was like really chilled. You can work like one job or like
Oh, yeah.
minimum wage or like only work part-time, a car, you can pay off the tuition fee, you still have a lot of money left
I
end of
think
the day, and
I
you can
think
go
my
out and then you still have like a lot of money left.
I
It's
think
like what Mike said life was like in the 80s. It's the
yeah,
same.
exactly. That's what I
And
was
they
gonna
said
say.
like in
Yeah.
the 90s people were like social, you can make friends like bars, parks, anything, strangers talk to each other, make friends. But
Yeah.
now it's different. He said like even in the 90s like everyone was so social
Yeah.
compared to after 2010, like 20, 30 years ago, Sydney was not like this.
See, the light at the end of the tunnel for me is like, I just think like looking back through history, I just find like there's a
Mm.
cycle. There's a cycle in society
Yeah,
where it's like, you go through some sort of major war. So we had World War One, World War Two, the Australians and New
Korean
Zealand.
War, Vietnam War.
Oh, we've always had wars, unfortunately, because it's
Yeah.
profitable for some people, which is terrible.
Mm.
I mean, like normal people like you and I don't even think about that, but I mean, there are unfortunately people out there that profit from it, and
Mm.
but there's always cycles. So you have some sort of clash, and then there's this period of prosperity. So, like you say, the 80s, 90s. And then it's sort
Mm.
of like it's that vertical integration where it sort of like trickles up again, and then there's
Yeah.
this great
It's like the Black
divide.
Swan event. Have you heard of the Black Swan event by
Yeah,
Adam Barata?
no, I haven't. You're educating me here.
Oh no, I'm not.
No, no, it's
Because
good.
I watched it and then it interested me because I first saw it from like the COVID because when I was
Mm,
googling COVID and then I was like and then I looked up the Spanish flu. That's
yeah,
when I first got the impression of COVID because I thought it was a pattern and then someone called it the Black Swan event.
mm,
So Black Swan is basically like an event that happens every 90 to 100 years. It
yeah,
was actually like proposed like this theory was proposed by the Etruscans. So Etruscans are like this ancient people north of Italy.
yeah,
So just before the Romans, you had the Etruscans in Tuscany, which is like north of Rome,
yeah.
and then they proposed like every 90 years
I'm
there's all
looking it
these
up
events. So
now.
like
I'm
you have
looking. This
war,
is
and then the next big war is going to be like 90 years, and then a financial crash, and then next 90 years it will be the same financial crash. They say because there's no alive witness who's like lived over 90 years of
yes,
age
yeah.
who has the capacity to rule, and that's why people keep making the mistakes because there's no first-hand witness left alive.
See, that's
And
that's
that's so true.
so true because I'm looking it up on Wikipedia now, and Wikipedia is not the best resource because
Yeah.
apparently this is quite censored.
Yeah, I don't trust Wikipedia
Yeah.
because anyone can write it, and like it's
Well,
in
no,
the
apparently it's
mainstream
like
favor.
apparently it's actually
So,
censored, like you know what I mean. But
controlled,
anyways,
yeah.
yeah. But I see what you mean, and that makes sense. Like every 90, 100 years, because I mean throughout human history, we've always been like we've told our stories through campfires, like orally. You know what I mean? Like everything's done
Yeah.
through, and like you say, then there's that period. Not after 90, 100 years, the last generation passes away, and then it's almost like you get the same kind of froth going to the top again, the scum, and then it
Yeah.
repeats its cycle, and it's like it's almost like we're not much different to any other
Yeah, we're
animal
we're
or
not much
species.
different.
There's
Well, technologically,
yeah.
we've improved. That's pretty much it. Like
Yeah,
scientifically, technologically, we've improved. That's it.
but we're
There's
still
nothing else.
animals. Like there's a saying that I heard. There's three types of people. There's like the sheep, and then there's the sheepdogs, which is I guess we will be in that topic, that kind of area. Sheepdogs that try to protect the herd, and then there are the wolves, and that's like the
Yeah, it's
natural.
wolves.
It's like the natural. I don't know. I just feel like we're just not much different to animals, you know.
Yeah,
And it's sad because it's just like there's just like for me like Earth is such a gift. You know what I mean? Like if we had
Mm-hmm.
looked after it, it's like so much abundance that it can provide, but it's just a small amount of people are just fattening their pockets and ruining it for everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because there's just so much to go around, and it's a big Earth. But it's like
Yeah.
it's that whole thing. It's like they're trying to I can't remember the documentary I saw, but it's like the science of cities, like you talk about, and it's sort of like they're stacking us like hens, battery hens,
Yeah.
when actually there's just I heard there's enough land for like everyone, you know what I mean? But
Oh
it's
yeah, if
like
you fit everyone in, like we'll fit in city of Jacksonville in
yeah,
Florida easy. Like if you have everyone together and like social distance with the COVID rule, let's say you will fit everyone in
oh
Jacksonville in
yeah,
Florida. Yeah. Oh, there's heaps of land. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Jeez.
but it's sort of like it's yeah, control grids of cities. I can't. I wish I could remember
Yeah.
which documentary it was, but it goes into the science of cities, and I think that's kind of like
Hmm.
I liken it to if we were to liken us to animals. You've got your battery hens and the free range
Yeah.
hens. The battery hens are naturally distressed, and that's what's happening to people in cities,
Yeah.
because we're stacking them into
Yeah,
little.
that's yeah, exactly. Like people are all caged up, just like those chickens in those farms.
Yeah,
Like
and
they
those
like
chickens in those farms are
crowded.
like, pumped
Yeah.
up with so many hormones just to keep them going.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen
Stimulus,
scenes.
artificial stimulus.
Yeah, yeah,
All of things like
exactly.
that.
But that's
Like
what,
money printer go burr.
yeah, money printer go brrr. But yeah, that's how I see it. Like, I always my just so you know my personality trait. I use humor to kind of laugh through it because I've
Yeah.
heard like in certain like. For example, war rooms, the best generals actually like laugh a lot because even
Mm.
though there's serious things happening, they use laughter to. And there was this one famous general. He came out of this meeting, and they were like, "Why are you so grumpy?" And he was like, "There is no laughter in there." It's just like yeah, but like I know what you're saying, and
Yeah.
but this is why I like shows like Mike in the Night, and
Mm.
I make an effort to. I don't know if you have any like hobbies or passions or sports that you like or thing, but like for me it's music. So I go to like an open mic like once a month, and
Yeah.
I found a really good one locally, and it's just like I'm like, oh, this is my tribe of people, and like my wife,
Mm.
she's I mean she works as well, but she likes circus, so like that's her thing, and like
Mm.
and I don't know whether it's like I don't know going to the gym or
Mm.
playing golf or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just like finding that tribe, and it's like it
Yeah.
was for me that was really cool. And then like, but actually like in terms of friends, I only have like five, like,
Yeah.
because like my story I guess is like I grew up with a bunch of kids that grew up in the same road, and
Oh.
we were all good friends right through like high school and everything, but unfortunately like I lost them all to like drugs, and like because I never
Oh.
did that, and like I kept on the straight and narrow, and they're just like different people now, so like that's why
Mm.
like I guess I don't have a big friendship
Yeah.
circle.
I lost friends because of the Exodus, and that's why I got into Mike's channel
Yeah,
because
you were
like
saying, yeah,
I
yeah,
looked up Sydney as a shithole, and then he was talking about all the Exodus and stuff. Like I was
yeah.
like, wow, this is like what happened to like all my high school like really close friends who like exodus out of Sydney, like they go to like Newcastle or Gold Coast or Melbourne, or some people they've returned to their country of origin, like Philippines, like they've
Oh yeah,
immigrated here like
I'm from Philippines.
2000, and then they left like 2018 because they can buy like a house in the Philippines like dirt cheap. Like you can ask Mike, like
Yeah.
Mike's wife is from the
Oh,
Philippines,
I'm
like they can buy a house dirt cheap. So like that Filipino guy, he
yeah.
sold like everything here, like he and his family just packed up and left. It's just like he couldn't take it anymore.
I'm
Because
actually
2018, and this was way before COVID, and this was
yeah, yeah,
all before COVID, all before COVID. And the mainstream media is coming up with like people exiting in California and Sydney and
mm,
Melbourne, like right like around 2020. But even though it's been happening for years, like if you look at New South Wales, the state that that Sydney is in, it's been like a negative net state migration for like the past 20 something years.
I mean, that
So
makes sense because as human beings, we want to be able to provide for our families and set
yeah,
like a good standard of living, and
yeah.
it's
And people are,
natural.
yeah.
Yeah, it's natural for
Even in
people.
2000, yeah, even in 2001, the net migration for New South Wales was like negative 21,000.
Where is your I guess like your support network in terms of like family and that? Are you close to family or is
Oh
it?
no, they're in China.
Oh yeah, see, I'm actually like I never knew my dad and my mum. I'm quite distant to, so family
Yeah,
wise, I'm quite short on. But in terms of I have a small group of friends, and my wife actually, I'm really good with my in-laws and that. But it's sort
yeah.
of like even though like my birth family is not present, like I've found a
What's your
family.
background? Like my background was like Chinese. What's your background
Filipino,
like?
Filipino,
Oh,
just like Mike's wife.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Filipino. Oh,
Yeah, so what happened is I grew up in the Philippines till I was like 7 years old, and then
yeah.
I moved to New Zealand, and I've been in New Zealand ever since.
Oh,
Um,
that's like my former like ex-colleague. Like he was like same high school as me, but he wasn't in the same class, and he
yeah,
was like 5, 6 years older than me. So he finished his high school like 2010, like he was year 12. But that time I was like year 8. So
yeah.
and then he probably migrated like from Philippines to Australia like probably 2000 2001. Like he was like probably like 8 years old, like 6 years old or something, and then he went back like he was like 25 at the time,
Yeah.
like 2018, and then he's probably like 28, 29 now, and then he's like living like he's doing really well in the Philippines. Like I think like I heard from my ex-colleague, another ex-colleague that he's like doing some hotel or doing some other stuff in the Philippines. Like he's used all his money that he's
Mm,
made here and
yeah.
he's sold everything and then he's actually like doing really well. Like people are saying like, oh, but that's a tier 2 city, but that's like not the capital. But he's actually doing well. Like
I haven't been to the Philippines since I'm in my mid 30s now. I haven't been since I was 13.
yeah,
So it's a
oh wow,
totally different country apparently because I've had a friend that's been there. So it's totally different to what I'm used to. But I, like there like just like any other country, there's good parts and bad parts. Like
yeah,
so,
there's good parts. Yeah,
there's this Netflix documentary called Captured, and I just feel like everyone should watch that before they consider going to the Philippines because it's
yeah,
like there are good parts, civil parts of Philippines, but then there's like pirates in the Philippines, and they capture like
pirates.
foreign. Yeah, they'll like capture foreigners, and
Oh really?
yeah, and ask for
Oh
ransom
crap.
because there's so some areas of Philippines are so much in poverty. It's like there's
Yeah.
no jobs for them. There's no opportunities, so they create opportunities, unfortunately, like through crime and things like that, which is not the best
I think
way.
my friend he went to like Cebu or something.
Yeah.
Do you know a place called Cebu?
My cousins talk about it all the time. Cebu, I think, is just like a resort area. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I
and
think it
he's
is.
like working at some like hotel or
I think my
something
I think my cousin
like
lives in
holiday.
Cebu. Yeah. I think Cebu's okay. I'm talking about like, so Manila's in the middle of the country. I'm talking about like the
Yeah.
jungle areas like down south, like when you go further down south. Those are like the
Oh, like near Indonesia, like border with like
yeah,
Indonesia and
there's like pirates in that
oh,
area. So it's like, because there's no,
pirates.
yeah,
You're
yeah, like,
making it seem like it's Somalia.
no, no, just
What do you
watch,
say?
just watch Netflix. It's called Captured. And there's an episode, yeah, Captured.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, just watch it. So I'm just like, because like I've done some travel. So I've basically stayed in New Zealand my whole life, but I did a stint with my girlfriend, who is now my wife, for a year and a half in Europe. So I got to see a lot of Europe. And one of the most interesting areas though was
Oh,
Egypt.
captive. Yeah.
Egypt. Yeah, yeah, captive. You see it?
Egypt. Yeah. Your
Did,
friend or
who is this?
you said your friend was Egypt or some? I didn't hear that properly.
Oh no, no, I was just talking about how like one of the countries that I've traveled to that opened my mind was Egypt. Um,
Oh, Egypt. Yeah.
because it
Oh,
again you see the I guess you see the poverty. Like you think poverty like in Australia and New Zealand, okay, cool, that's like the wins office,
mm,
right? But no, like poverty there is like your living room is like just sand and there's no, you know what I mean? Like it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's. But did you find that documentary?
Oh yeah, it's called Captive, and then it's like 2016 or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an
Is it there's
American
is there
documentary.
a
Yeah,
episode there called One on Philippines?
American missionaries, Dos Palmas kidnappings.
Is it there should be one on Philippines. I think it's episode 3 maybe.
Yeah, it's
That one. You found it?
Dos Palmas
Did you find it?
kidnappings, Dos Palmas.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
I think I found it. So it's like American missionaries in
Oh
Philippines.
yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah. It's a
61
guy
minutes
and a
or
girl.
something.
Yeah, it's a guy and a girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm reading it
watch.
off of Wikipedia.
Yeah, watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch. Oh my god, like, cause like, yeah, like, I know you have friends that are
Oh,
scattered around the world, but there's like,
this Somalia.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just pros and cons to every country.
Reading
Yeah.
off Wikipedia.
Uh, I'm doing a screen capture at the moment on this, and so I can
Mm.
you can look back on this video if you like. Yeah, Somalia. It's really interesting.
I've got a few colleagues like Egypt, but they're like mostly Christians, like Coptic,
Yeah. No.
and most of them like workers like they came like after 2013, especially after Hosni Mubarak got toppled down, like in the Arab Spring, and the Libya
Yeah.
leader got toppled down. Like a lot of like Christian Egyptians like came here.
Mm. Have you done much
Because of,
travel?
like, the
Have you
war
done
and
much
stuff,
travel
and so, like,
yourself? Have you done much travel outside,
no,
like other than?
I barely do traveling.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, I see like my relatives in China like once in a while, but
Yeah.
like every like a few years,
Yeah.
I go back and like have a look. But it's like it's been like it's different. Like
Yeah.
even in like China, it's like different. It's not like in the 60s, like the communist era. Like I was commenting in the sections like how my relatives lived through a cultural revolution and the Great Leap Forward and all of
Which
that.
is the Great Reset of 2021. It's like the same. The Great Leap Forward.
It's a little bit different.
Oh,
I
is
wouldn't
it?
say it's the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Technologically, there was no internet and stuff, but
Uh,
like there's no such thing as this scale of mass surveillance. There's no
No.
like this sort of mass surveillance. Like there was obviously surveillance, like obviously surveillance, like there's surveillance like USSR, like East Germany and all that. There's obviously surveillance, but I don't think there's this much surveillance like on a mass scale.
Yeah, this is different.
compared to
This is a
60s,
different era.
70s. Yeah, this is like globe. This is the
Do you know-
whole world.
Do you know what I saw, I would have said, a few months ago in New Zealand that kind of opened my eyes and went, oh, we're in the future. It's, you know when, what's it called? SpaceX was launching those 50 satellites or something?
SpaceX. I didn't
Yeah.
hear of that. Wait, let me Google it.
Yeah.
SpaceX.
What's his name? The guy that does,
Oh, Elon.
Elon, yeah. So,
Oh, okay. Now I'm getting somewhere. Yeah, because of Tesla.
yeah, Tesla.
Yeah, whenever someone mentions Elon, it's good Tesla.
Yeah. Well, anyways, a few months ago, what I realized I was in the future because, like, so you read about things on the internet and you're like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. But then when you see it with your own eyes, so I was like walking with my wife on the beach, and I'm like, what is that in the sky? And it's just like a row of dots, and it was like the 50 satellites going up, and I'm like, I'd never seen anything like it looked out, you know, like it was crazy because it was like it was going up, like it wasn't going down, it was going up. And so yeah, it was just like, for me, I was like, but yeah, so like what I'm trying to get at is, I guess, like technology is not what it was in the 60s or 70s. You're talking like high tech space stuff now, you know.
Surveillance.
Yeah, so I mean that, I think.
Yeah, it's space like nanotech, like going like really small like particles, like.
Well, I think the satellites are part of the 5G grid, so
Mm.
which they promote to be like, fast internet and real-time internet, where like a doctor could like make an
Mm.
operation from another country and just do it all in real time, and that's the benefits of 5G. But at the same time, it's like, oh, that's also surveillance, I guess. um, but I don't know, like there's just so much going on, and I feel like in the world it's sort of like, I think we're like in warfare I would call like siege. Like we're in
Mm.
siege mode because it's sort of like everyone's hunkered down, and it's
Yeah,
sort of
but
like you can't really do any.
all these lockdowns, to be honest, is very different to what happened in the Cultural Revolution and all that, as well as the holoderma. Have you heard of a holoderma? Like what
No, tell
happened
me.
in
You were
Ukraine?
telling me. You were tell me.
Yeah, so that was very similar to the Great Leap Forward. Was like, but it happened like just before, like around World War Two. Like the Soviet Union, they created like collectivist policies, so people with like a lot of farmland, they have to be owned by the state because
Mm.
it's like they use like a communist system, so all the land are like owned by the state, and then the policy failed and a lot of people died. I think this COVID thing, it's like very similar style to the way they control, but the way in which it's carried out, it's gonna be slightly different, like slightly different worded, but very similar in fashion, if you know what I mean.
This is fascinating. You are educating me to the bone today. Like I'm like, I'm like,
Because I read about the Hollow model and then I was like shocked. And even I think it was like Raven or someone, like the last call. I don't know who it was, because like like whenever the Raven,
yeah,
Supreme Canon or
yeah.
Lord Humongous gets on, I couldn't get which voice is which voice because
I
they all
know.
speak
For
very
a second,
similarly.
I get Raven and one other guy, like they're very similar, voice. And
Yeah,
I'm like, is that Raven with a cold today? Like, but it's like, it's
yeah,
not. It's like someone else. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, the
yeah.
Holodomor. Reading it now. I'm showing it on my screen, so it'll show
Yeah,
up on the video.
1932, 1933 happened in Ukraine.
From
So
3 to 12 million deaths.
yeah,
Wow. Um, see,
just
see,
mass death. Yeah,
observations considered genocide by 16 countries, considered as criminal act of Stalin's regime.
yeah.
Um, see, like, there's another genocide, and I talk about. I saw, in, like, the Rwanda genocide in the 90s, and what's promising about shows like Mike and the Night is like one of the best tools of warfare during that genocide was actually like the radio, and
Mm,
it wasn't so much to like it was so that it could like mobilize people and get like the word out
mm,
quickly. It was like, yeah, you should look it up. It's called the Rwanda genocide in the 90s.
mm,
I think I saw it on another Netflix, but I can't really remember which one it was at the stage.
mm.
But like what I'm saying is like it's all a cycle. It's like the same stuff.
It's keep happening. Yeah,
Yeah, and like I think you're right. It's like every 90 or 100 years because people
like something
forget.
big is gonna happen.
But the thing is, like, with this whole censorship of like Parler recently, right? And the
Yeah,
rewriting of the Web 0.20, or whatever you want to call it. It's like back in the day, they burnt books, but now they're just burning browsers and burning it.
internet. Yeah,
It's
yeah, but burning internet. Yeah, it's the same,
yeah, it's the
but
same.
different process, like a different technology.
Yeah, it's the same but
That's what I
different
was. Yeah,
format.
it's like Holodomor, but like it's a different way to control. It's still
Yeah.
control, but like a different
So
way. It's like through internet rather than like using police with guns. They're gonna use like internet police. It's just change it. Like the police are still gonna use guns, obviously, like Right Squad, but then
how do they?
altering it in
How
a
do
way.
these regimes eventually fall, or how do they? How do the people kind of take control again? Like, what's? Do you see
Mass
us
protests.
mass
Mass
protests?
protests.
So you see that's sort of like the cycle then. So there's an uprising
Yeah.
because I know.
So if you search up 1934 France riots, it's
Hmm.
like it's called the February 6th, 1934 crisis, or you can just Google 1934 France riots. So this happened before World War II, and if
Yeah,
you add about 90 onto 1934, it's about 2024, and look
1934.
at the yellow vest.
France crisis.
Almost 90 years,
You
almost.
are schooling me to the day today. Like this is why I like the show, like the Mike and the Night show
Yeah.
is like
And
everyone's got
most of them were like disillusioned veterans. Like they were disillusioned veterans from the First World War.
yeah. Oh, look, I think
好，我和同学。Yeah, 1934 it happened, and like they were disillusioned veterans from the First World War.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
they went through the depression, and then they had like homeless veterans and stuff, very similar to America, Canada, Australia. And then those people got really disillusioned, and they fought against the government.
Yeah.
And then yeah,
This is why I
it's just
think
mass protests. That's the only way, mass protests.
yeah. I think with any revolt, I mean, obviously you have. You strike me as a slightly younger guy, and this is what inspires me is because I think the youth is quite critical to anything because it's sort of like it's because you've entered the game late. Like you've got almost like the most stakes in on the table, so it's sort of like those people are fired up more, and I really value that. But I think like it's like the youth is so pivotal. Because obviously the elders are pivotal as well because they can pass down the stories of the past, and you learn from the lessons of that. But at the same time, it's also the youth who are the future as well. So it's sort of like it requires both pillars to kind of unite. And there's, to be honest, there's more of us than like the elite.
Heaps. Yeah.
Like I told you, my story was
1,000,000 to 1.
Yeah. So it's a numbers game, but yeah, no, I'm a student of history, so I really thank you for telling me all this stuff because it's sort of like it's really interesting. I've learnt a lot.
How did you find Mike's videos? Like, how did you?
I think it was through
like, Googling Sydney and stuff. Like, how did you...
I think I found it through housing as well. I was looking up
New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand. But it's funny now though because especially like post Parler, I've noticed that a lot of his videos are actually being censored, like or they don't show up. So I watch a lot of his videos when I'm at home. So I'm using a New Zealand server.
Mike's videos been disappearing the whole time.
Yeah.
Like ever since even I got on board to like watch his channel. Like some of his videos from the the housing crisis.
Yeah.
Playlist, the one with 600 videos.
Tell me why this is though, right? So like New Zealand, I can access his content, okay? But like through my work, so my work is is in New Zealand, but we use Australian servers. So because it's I think the most the bulk of the office is in like Victoria or something. So like all the servers are in Australia, and as soon as we use those servers, if I try and go on YouTube and go on Mike channel, doesn't even come up. Like it doesn't. His channel doesn't show, like it goes to like some cartoon channel, and I'm like, nope, that's not it. Like, so the only way I can access his channel is through a New Zealand server, and I'm like, oh, that's like, I don't know what's going on there, but it's like something's happening. Yeah, that's just what I've experienced. But I think a lot of people are getting around that through VPNs and stuff anyways. So if you have a private VPN, you can change the location. Yeah. And but yeah, anyway, so in terms of people pushing back and riots and stuff, that's why I study the Hong Kong protests quite closely, because in Hong Kong there's a lot of censorship there as well, but they use like mesh networks. Oh, they've been using mesh networks, which is yeah, you can't really, I think it's like peer-to-peer infrastructure. Yeah, so just look up mesh networks. But I just find that, yeah, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but it's sort of like, I feel you too. But I know that I'm feeling like we're in siege mode, and like these lockdowns are definitely not helping.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, is it part of a plan? Oh, one other thing before I go, because we've been talking for like half an hour. And I'd like to do this more often though. This is fun.
Yeah.
But like one thing before I go is for the first time I saw military in Auckland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they because we have you know when people get isolated for when
Yeah.
they come back in. Yeah, they're just like outside the hotels.
Oh, military.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That really shook me because I'm like, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, I mean like it's good. It's good. We're
Yeah,
talking.
it's
We're
good. Yeah.
talking. We're talking. We're now
So
networking.
you got onto Mike's videos from like the housing crisis
Oh,
as well,
definitely.
pretty much.
Yeah, through housing.
Yeah.
But that was pre, like his stuff,
Pre-COVID.
pre-COVID and I found it pre-COVID and pre-Parler takedown.
Oh,
It was easy.
I found his videos like 2019,
Yeah.
like 2019, I think.
Well, his videos had, I think, more reach, but now it's sort of
Yeah.
like I
When did you
said,
first find his videos? I found his videos like
um,
2019 March to around like
probably the same,
June.
probably about the same time as that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other good ones on around the place. So
Yeah.
there's China Uncensored. That's a good one. You know that one?
Oh yeah, I heard of that one. Yeah.
I follow that one a lot. What else is good? Because I used to live in London, I quite like keeping up with London. So there's one called
Yeah.
London Real. There's this guy trying to run for mayor, and he's decked up this bus, right, with his face and
Yeah.
everything, and then like they won't let him like do his campaigns, and they keep giving him fines, and he's like, oh, but we're doing everything like
Oh, yeah,
social
do you know
distancing.
Sapenza?
Nah, is that another one I should look
Yeah,
up?
another video. He does like motorbike. Yeah, I've saw him before, like 2018. That was the first time I saw him, and then 2020, I think Mike was making a video, like a video from ages ago, and I saw his video on Sapenza. He was saying something about Sapenza, so
I think
Mike's also seen him as well. I'll shoot a screenshot later.
yeah. Is there anyone in like the Mike in the Night show that you know that are from like Sydney? Like, have you
Not
noticed?
that I'm aware of. Like I saw sometimes like comments that says I'm from Sydney, but
You should try and
like,
reach out to them because, like, I reached
Yeah,
out
I
to
should.
Craig. I reached out to Craig,
Yeah.
and then
I
it
think
was
the
so
only
cool.
people I've reached out so far is Mike. I probably added him.
Yeah, but he's in Canada.
Yeah, he's in Canada. Yeah, back in 2018.
Yeah. Well,
Like, I mean, not 2018. 2020 something. I added him on Skype.
I try and visit
I was being in his comment section like before that, but I didn't like add him on Skype, and then I added him on Skype later.
I've got a
through
few.
through the comments in the Mike in the Night lives. I found Craig, and then I added Craig, and then like I think a month and a half ago, and then I added you today.
Well, there's a lot of
people.
back talk because I know Craig's spoken to Raven, and like there's
I haven't added them yet. I only have you, Craig, and Mike on the list on my Skype. I haven't got anyone else yet. I'm trying to expand as well, like expand my network.
It's good. It's good to have a network, you know, like, and it's just it's
Yeah, I
like
want to get like a Sydney group going, like
Yeah.
one for Sydney, like boots on the ground for Sydney, like
yeah, that's good because it's sort of like that's your
Yeah.
emotional support, you know. Because I know, man, this times are tough, man. Like and like but it's like we're the writers of our own stories, so we almost need to
Yeah.
be proactive. Like I just learnt that from.
My toughest time was like March 2020 was just so much stress.
Oh really?
And then at home, well, Sydney was partially locked down. It wasn't like fully locked down, but I stayed at home because just to be like safe because I didn't know much.
Oh, yeah,
about the
that's good.
COVID. I was like really scared.
Yep.
And then at the spare time, I just watch his playlist. So I've watched the merit harassment series, like all 30 videos. I watched it. Project Tabletop. I've watched it.
Yeah.
His housing crisis, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, USA.
Yeah.
I've watched the
It's good, eh?
Australian videos, every Australian video. So like you know how if you go on his playlist, he has like videos on Canada,
Yeah.
videos on Australia. I watched every one of them on Australia. Like
Yeah,
that's like
it's good.
almost 150 videos
Yeah.
I went through it in a month.
Yeah, because I think that
It was so long.
what
Like
you're
he had
getting,
his earliest videos in like 2016.
I think
So I
what you
watched
get,
those from 2016 all the way to 2020, like 150 videos. I've
yeah,
gone through all of them.
it's sort of like sometimes as men we need that man talk. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
just good men around us that have their heads screwed on properly.
mm,
Because like I talk about some of the friends that I don't see anymore because of drugs, and you just it's just like what's that saying? You become the person. That the 5 people that you hang out with the most, you become that, like so.
yeah,
I feel
they
like
influence you.
and that's why, like, I think I see this, like, I guess back and forth as like the intellectuals, the enlightened. It's sort of
Mm,
like I don't think that I'm not like putting the most of the population down with their IQ or
mm.
anything, but it's sort of like I don't know, like that's why I asked you, like, what triggered you in this, like what was that, like in March 2020, what was it? Like you said, it was a dark time, and then obviously through that you I guess saw the world differently. Is it just because like all your friends started leaving, and was that the period?
Oh no, my friends started leaving like right after 2014, 2015. Like they were studying in Sydney, but then like 2018, 2019, they were like, I'm getting the heck out of here because they just can't afford it.
March
And then ever
20,
since,
March 20, that's when COVID hit though in Australia, right?
yeah, but like
Before
back in
that.
2014, like my friends saying like after uni, they were planning to leave.
Yeah.
Like they already left like 2018, 2019, like even pre-COVID. And then I found Mike's channel through Sydney is like a shithole. And
Yeah.
because on Google I keep typing Sydney poor infrastructure, or Sydney dying nightlife, or Sydney is becoming crap, or Sydney is a shithole. And then I saw like on Reddit, like the public forums, like you don't need to create an account and see it. And then I saw like all these comments. And then
Yeah.
I also saw from like travel websites that say like Sydney is like a boring place, and then like
Well, I
and that
think I
from
think you've done a good move. You've moved back home, and it's
oh,
it's
I'm still in
it's
Sydney, lol.
yeah, saving. Like me and my wife had to do that. Like we had to stay with our in-laws for 3 years so that I
Oh
could
yeah, you stayed. Yeah,
for
stay.
3 years. 3 years. Do you know
There's no
how hard
point
it is
living
to live
out
with?
like in expensive. Like there's no point living in expensive
Yeah.
accommodation. It's just gonna drain your money away. It's a
Nah.
liability.
No,
It's not an
exactly. So
asset.
I think you've done a good move in that, and like not everyone has that access. So I think be grateful for that. That's super
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm
And like,
still renting
no, no,
after
no.
15 years. I'm still renting. I'm still a renter.
Are you in your 20s or 30s?
20s,
See, you're young.
24,
I
25, 25 now. Yeah,
My
25.
first house I didn't buy till you're 25.
Yeah, I'm 25.
My first house I didn't buy till I was 31. So
Oh,
think of it this way, right? So 3 years of renting, like saving for a
yeah.
deposit, you're way ahead of me. Like,
Oh no, I'm still renting.
but the
Like
thing also,
my parents are still renting. Like
but
my mom's still renting.
that's okay because you can change the family tree. Just watch Dave Ramsey.
All right, I'll watch
Watch
it.
Dave Ramsey. Dave
Yeah,
Ramsey. He, like, his book Total Moneymaker. It
yeah.
absolutely changed my life because both, like, my mum was terrible with money. She inherited
Mm,
a $250,000 from my stepdad because he used to import cars into New Zealand. That's how he made his money.
mm.
She blew it away all on casinos.
Oh my god.
Yep. And I never knew my dad. So, like, my parents are not the best people to, like, talk
Mm,
about with money. So, but, you can start your own family tree,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You start today.
yeah.
And
Ever since like 2010, I just started to read more and more history, like
yeah,
because of Ahmadinejad's speech. That really woke me up.
yeah,
And then 2011, 2012, like search up politics. I
yeah,
didn't know like about the housing crisis. Like I know like 2010, 2011, like something was not right
yeah,
with
yeah.
Sydney's housing price. I know like something was
But
messed up.
also remember, you're doing amazing, dude. You're 25. You've got your head screwed on. You know what's happening. You're saving money. It's awesome. You know what I mean? And the thing
But
is,
it's
also,
really tough to save
I know,
in
but
Sydney.
remember. So you're not married though, right?
Oh no, no.
Okay, cool. So remember, you basically double your income when you get married. Well, you're like, you become one. So it's statistically when down the line, sometime when you find the right person, you know, it boosts your it does make your living better, like your quality of living better. Because I was the same in my like when I was like 23, 25, 27, those were the toughest moments of my life. Like I went through like times where like I didn't even have food next week. You know what I mean? And like I had to like ration my food. Like those were tough times. Just remember that this is going to be a chapter that, you know, there's going to be another chapter. And you're absolutely doing amazing. And like just keep doing what you do. Keep reaching out to people, and the best investment is your brain.
Yeah.
That your brain is the best investment. So keep soaking it up like a sponge. And I don't even have to say this because you've schooled me like to the days today. So like, but it's amazing. But like you're good, intelligent, you know, man. You're gonna do awesome, man. Like this, you know what I mean? So
I'm still watching Mike's videos. So after the merit harassment and all the housing crisis on Australia that I've all watched, I finished watching the Project Tabletop.
Yeah.
I'm starting to watch a bit of game store business from scratch, and then starting a home business. And then I've also watched I Left the Big City, the 53 videos. I'm up to the 37th one. I'm still watching his video. And then Mike was like in the Mike in the Night like 2 hours ago. He was like appreciating it. He was like, "Thanks, dude. It means a lot." Like he actually said it. Like,
nah, man, it's awesome.
He appreciates me like watching it, because I actually appreciate him for making the playlist. Like I appreciate him.
Well, I think
learned so much.
It's a win-win situation for any of us. Like, you know, I
didn't know he was inspired by the walking journey at first. I didn't know.
Oh, dude, you're the stuff that comes out of your mouth is gold. You know, like the things you know. But what I'm saying is like everyone has a different angle, and this is why just like the man-on-man talk, it's awesome because it's sort of like you exchange stories and ideas, and it's really enlightening. I think that's what I talk about this with friends as well. Sometimes like when we're in the car and we're going for like a long drive, we have these talks as well. I have one mate that I do, and it's like that's the stuff that I like, those moments I live for, because people naturally gravitate towards the campfire stories, you know what I mean? But it's so there's an element of that with the show, but I also super encouraged to like reach out, see if there's anyone in Sydney as well, because I did that with Craig, and so
look, you can upload this video, just make it public, because you didn't talk about the 5 reasons I want to leave Australia, because I want to save it. I want to save that story for Mike. Okay, and then I'll do it again. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. No, that's cool. We should definitely do this again. Man, this has been super fun. It's actually been an hour.
Oh wow. I want to talk about like mascot towers, like Sydney. Because I wanted to do it with Mike, but then I didn't really have the opportunity.
Tell you what. When you're on the Mike in the Night show and you see me in the chat, maybe we could do like the after hour special.
we can do that. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Good to chat with you and connect with you. And I'll post this up if you're keen. And we'll just keep connected.
And next time I'll talk about the mascot towers, because I was actually one of the first-hand witness back in 2019 June when the tower in Sydney, like one of the condo apartments, actually had like a building fault.
Oh, damn!
Like, witnessed it firsthand.
All right. Well,
I'll talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Like I said, if you see me on the chat on the Mike in the Night show, just we'll have a sort of like just an after party.
All right.
Cool.
Good. Bye.
All right. Take care. See ya. That was Hitting Stacks from Sydney. And if you're not in the know and now you know. What an intelligent young man. Obviously part of the Mike in the Night network. So check out the Mike Martin streams twice a week. Also, Blunt News has a show on D Live. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you so much for Tommy for the off-the-cuff. Compared to others for the chance of trying. very off the cuff. And yeah, check me out, New Zealand. I use my creativity. That's what I do, and I'm really not that much of a talker, guys. But I use my creativity in terms of music, and that's, I guess, my contribution. And anyways, enjoy yourself. Stay connected. Stay cool.